Aloha, my name is Ashley Walker, and today I will be talking to you about the representations of race within Walt Disney's animated films. So, as the involvement of the Disney Corporation actively shows variation in culture, authenticity, and creativity, various characters are being designed in attempt to include and relate to all audiences. Yet there still poses question to whether these filming passions are done in attempts to preserve ways of life or simply to gain wealth through domination, as pressured control of cultural interpretations in universal film productions are used. So, as I've researched, I've analyzed how throughout Disney's films, the lack of authenticity poses question about whether the company has evolved to entertain or to create control in the industry. Through this, I have analyzed various Disney films and understood how race plays a vital part in the evolution of animation. I've applied the post colonial theory, and it will be applied to study Walt Disney's political, aesthetic, economic, historical, and social impact. In other words, I've evaluated how the Walt Disney franchise plays a role in shaping culture through their powerful influence of film productions. These are five movies that I've highlighted: Hunchback of Notre Dame, Pocahontas, Princess and the Frog, Moana, and Song of the South. Some other literature reviews I found include Byrne and McQuillan, who write Deconstructing Disney. They help say that while the Walt Disney franchise has evolved in involving a more significant amount of diversity, there continues to be evidence of struggle, as Disney's early films are notorious for their clumsy depictions of racial stereotypes. Examples include The Crows in Dumbo, The Travesty in Plantation Life in Song of the South, and King Louie in The Jungle Book. Now, I'd like to turn your attention towards this picture I've added up here, which is from Disney's Peter Pan. And it says, "I don't know what's going on with this guy's face and whole general look, but I suspect the explanation is probably animated racism." This goes hand in hand with what I want to argue as Disney continues to portray whites versus other throughout their animated films. So, some other authors I found, named Kilpatrick and Johnson, argue that Disney has had a significant influence over how children are exposed to and respond to cultural differences, which is why the company must depict accurate and unbiased cultural representations. We learn things at a young age. It is important to be informed while we are in those younger stages as we develop our brain, our memory, our perception of things. So by having these um, false truths, histories cannot be accurately depicted. And unfortunately, this is not practiced in films such as Pocahontas, Hunchback, and Atlantis, as the indigenous and gypsy culture become eccentric. Non white depictions become disregarded as the Disney franchise changes, reshapes, and destroys other identities through white colonialism. Lastly, I want to talk about neocolonialism, which essentially is one country using influence or pressured control over another to gain resources, to gain supplies, or just to gain power. Um, and in doing this, Disney has allowed to impose visualization in their films, meaning that they can turn the non white into characters and cultures that are to be seen as broken, marginalized, and pathological. Meanwhile, the white characters and cultures can emerge as those powerful and perfect heroes that are sent to effortlessly fix the non white as they are superior. Matthew Huey, another literature analysis I have found, describes that the danger of this is that it becomes a natural popular culture to believe that whites are superior no matter what goes on, no matter what culture we're in. This shows that whites are here to fix those who have different skin color. And this trope is so widespread that varied intercultural and interracial relations are often guided by a logic that racializes and separates people into those who are redeemers, the whites, and those who are redeemed or in need of redemption, the non whites. So, us versus other. So, why post colonial theory and neocolonialism? Well, first off, post colonialism is described as a development based on cultural interactions between different identities, meaning that there's assigned power and assigned degrees of social power as colonialism takes place, meaning that one country can assign power over others, saying, I'm dominant over you. Next, neocolonialism is described as the use of economic, political, cultural, or other pressures or influences over other countries. So, for example, in this picture, America has caused influential pressure over Africa to gain wealth. So, the connection to this, first, I want to start by highlighting Pocahontas, as Disney claims to tell a true story, yet ignores many historical facts to appeal to young audiences. Some of the many abandoned points include the kidnapping, imprisonment, and rape of Pocahontas, and the fact that the Powhatan community lost their political independence and land to the English. The age difference between John Smith and Pocahontas was about 10 years. Meanwhile, she only wanted to teach him the language while he wanted to marry her. There was no mutual romance, yet Disney blurs these lines in order to create an entertaining story to younger generations. Similarly, in Hunchback of Notre Dame, Esmeralda, the highlighted female character with dark color skin, becomes portrayed as exotic and sexual due to her costume and male gaze shots throughout the film. We can see Frollo, the male guard, continuously looking at her as she dances, as she goes throughout her daily life, and that male gaze of focusing on the woman and her body is enhanced throughout the film as Esmeralda becomes sexualized and is less human and more of an object, leaving her story to be blurred behind the other white characters. As these histories become forgotten and adaptations of diverse stories are told, these fairy tales begin to exist as fact in the minds of generations of American children and turn into truths. Um, Advice from outside native sources is only followed when it fits conveniently with the story Disney wants to tell. So, just like Pocahontas, all of these other kidnapping, imprisonment, that's all lost in the story narrative just so they can find a story that will entertain and appeal to audiences. Next, I want to talk about Song of the South, which now is sealed in the Disney vault due to its controversy, stereotyping, and offensive racism. Next year, 1947, the NAACP boycotted the film due to its portrayal of a whitewashed slavery. Brutal truths of slavery were glossed over by the uplifting smiles and songs of the former slaves, happily living on and working for the plantation that formerly owned them. Disney has continued over these years to profit from the associated property where the filming took place, music compilations such as Zippity Doo Dah, and the amusement rides within its theme park, such as Splash Mountain portrayed here. While Disney has recently acknowledged the insensitivity and has decided to re-innovate to theme The Princess and the Frog, there is no definite information that this construction has taken place. Lastly, I'd want to highlight the movie Moana as one of Disney's commercial products in line with the movie. Includes brown skin tattoos that customers can purchase without an understanding or an explanation of the true cultural meaning behind these tattoos. And through undermining the tattoo importance and meaning for commercial gain, this becomes a prime example of colonialism as the Polynesian culture becomes exploited for a profit from which the Polynesian culture does not benefit from. within this culture, these tattoos, they take time and it's painful. Yet people are able to purchase fake tattoos just for the amusement of the character Maui without understanding that that the tattoos signify heroism, warrior. It's for people that truly earned it and did something towards their community. So, in conclusion, throughout viewing the Disney franchise and its work as pure imagination, individuals can acknowledge that there are flaws as cultures are represented. As audiences understand how the company seeks to dominate the entertainment industry, many controversial ideas can be identified, accurate histories of culture can be learned, and depictions of universal westernization can become exposed. In the future, we want to try and create films that depict accurate histories. No more of these glossed over, inaccurate historical depictions. By showing truths and by informing us of other cultures, more connection around the world can be done. Mahalo and thank you for your time.